Hey guys, it's Leah. Welcome back to my channel. So today I am going to be showing you my entire autumn TBR. I cannot wait for autumn, and the fact that it is September in a couple of days, my excitement is just through the roof. A couple of months back I kind of scrapped the idea of doing monthly TBRs just because I am such a mood reader, but autumn is a time that I genuinely do collect books year round, knowing that I'm going to want to read them during the autumn season, and this year has been absolutely no exception. I have saved so many books that I have gotten this year or bought this year knowing that I'm going to want to read them through autumn. So this is the compiled TBR. I will say though that I will undoubtedly add more books to this list. Although I have been on a book buying ban for quite some time, I actually did buy a lot of autumn books knowing that I wanted to read them in the upcoming months, and on my TikTok I did do a big unboxing, so if you ever want to see stuff like that before I actually post them on here, definitely do check out my TikTok. But I will definitely do a book haul on here soon featuring a lot of autumn books, some that haven't arrived yet but will definitely also be added onto this list at a later time. But for now I have a good number of books that I am absolutely so excited for. For some reason every single book on this list is like a 5-star prediction. I'm expecting to love them all so much. But yeah, let's just get straight into it. I do have a cup of tea in my little spooky mug that I bought a couple of days ago, which I'm in love with. And yeah, let's just talk about some spooky books. So the first book that is probably one of the most recent ones I received, and the publisher did very kindly send it to me, is Things Have Gotten Worse Since We Last Spoke by Eric LaRocca. Things Have Gotten Worse Since We Last Spoke is a book that I have wanted all year but I just didn't get because I knew I wanted to save it for autumn, and I knew I probably couldn't resist. I have heard such incredible things about that book. I know it's a very short novella, a very short horror novella, and I was anticipating to just absolutely adore it, and I still 100% am, but this also does include other short stories by the same author. So in this book there is of course Things Have Gotten Worse Since We Last Spoke, also The Enchantment, and you'll find it's like that all over. All very short horror novellas, and I can't put into words how excited I am to read all of these. I have just heard again the most incredible things about this author's writing. Very terrifying, very spooky. I can't wait. I actually don't know too much about any of them. I did purposely keep it like that knowing I wanted to go into them all not really knowing too much, but I will read you the little synopsis. I haven't even read this yet, so it's like we're reading it together. But a whirlpool of darkness churns at the heart of the macabre ballet between two lonely young women in an internet chat room in the early 2000s. A darkness that threatens to forever transform them once they finally succumb to their most horrific desires. A couple isolate themselves on a remote island in an attempt to recover from their teenage son's death when a mysterious young man knocks on their door during a storm. And a man confronts his neighbour when he discovers a strange object in his backyard, only to be drawn into an ever more dangerous game. 3 devastating, beautifully written horror stories for one of the genre's most cutting-edge voices. What have you done today to deserve your eyes? Oh my god. This just sounds so incredible and I'm so excited for it. Thank you so much Titan Books again for sending this to me. I then have a book that Kendra very kindly gifted me for my birthday in April, and I have purposely been waiting to save it for autumn, and that is They Never Learn by Lane Fargo. Another one that I've been so incredibly excited about because it is kind of dark academia, which of course I love. Also pretty sure that it does follow a female serial killer who's kind of killing men who have done wrong things and disgusting things to women, and because those are two things that I just love reading about. Not that I love reading about female serial killers, but I do love reading about women, unhinged women at that do kind of take revenge on men. I do love to see it. And on top of that, I know that India absolutely loves this book, and when she read it, it did become one of her favourites, and we do have similar reading tastes in terms of thrillers, so I feel like if she loved it, I'm definitely going to. And just hearing her talk about it for so many months, I've been dying to read it, so I'm really happy that now's the time. This is also one of the most beautiful covers ever, and a dark academia, unhinged women thriller. What more could I want? And thank you again Kendra for gifting me this for my birthday. Next is the only manga on this TBR at the moment. I would love to read some more Junji Ito, especially Tomi and Uzumaki, but one that I am dying to read and have been saving for autumn is Frankenstein. Junji Ito is of course an incredible horror manga artist and storyteller at that. Like, his storytelling alongside the illustrations are phenomenal, and I'm always left so astounded on edge and absolutely petrified every time I read one of his collections. But Frankenstein in particular, I think because I do love the original Frankenstein story so much, I have been so excited to read, and obviously had to save it for autumn because it's Frankenstein. It just looks so good, and I'm really intrigued to see the differences between the original text, what he has kind of obviously taken as inspiration from it, but what may also be different. And this is also my favorite Junji Ito cover. It's stunning. I feel like all of these covers honestly in this TBR are gorgeous. I'm just really excited to see differences or similarities and to just honestly delve into another Junji Ito collection. And again, I definitely will read more than this in autumn, probably also Tomi and Uzumaki, but this one is probably the one I'm most excited for. Of course, after talking about Junji Ito's Frankenstein, I think it's only right that I then say that I do actually want to reread Frankenstein by Mary Shelley, but I do want to read the 1818 text. I have read Frankenstein before, but not this original edition, and again, like Junji Ito, but in a different sense. I'm really excited to see the differences between the newer edition of Frankenstein in comparison to the original text. I've studied Frankenstein numerous times at uni and A-level, and I've always been so incredibly fascinated by not only the story but Mary Shelley in general. I think out of any author ever, she fascinates me more than absolutely anyone else in terms of the inspirations for Frankenstein, the kind of group sessions she would have with Lord Byron and all of these other people and her husband, and the kind of discussions that they would have in terms of science and the future, and how much of that was put into the work of Frankenstein and really did inspire Frankenstein. I just find it all so incredibly interesting, and I really do want to see the differences between the original text, what was maybe taken out of the newer edition, and perhaps why, and annotate it. I really do go on a deep dive as to why that would be, and just apply all of the things that I know about Mary Shelley in this book and that I have studied into my reread of it, even though I'm no longer a student, which does break my heart. But I have just been wanting to read this edition for so long and reread Frankenstein in general, so what better time to do it than in autumn. It's also been a really long time since I actually read a Gothic classic, and although I'm no longer an English student, I do definitely want to make sure that I am still constantly reading it, because I just love the Gothic genre so much, and it always was the #1 thing that I just absolutely adored throughout all of my years studying English, especially 19th century feminist Gothic. So I do want to make sure that I am still reading it even if I'm not directly studying it anymore, because I know so much about it all now, and I just want to apply that to books I read outside of my studies and just do it for me because I just enjoy it so much. So yeah, I'm very excited to actually reread Frankenstein, but also read the 1818 text for the first time. Next is a more modern classic, and it is We Have Always Lived in the Castle by Shirley Jackson. So I absolutely adored The Haunting of Hill House when I read it. I read it I think in the summer of 2019. I just absolutely loved it, and I really did love how Gothic Shirley Jackson's writing was. It was so evident that so much of her writing came from inspirational texts, like classic Gothic texts, and I loved reading that and kind of having that analysis on the book, as well as just enjoying it for a spooky read. And this one I've wanted to read for a very long time, but I don't know too much about it, and again, it is one that I do want to go into not really knowing too much about. The only other Shirley Jackson book that I've read is The Lottery, and that was for uni, but I can't really remember it, so that one I will also revisit 100%, but I do want to read this one prior to doing that. I'm just really interested to see how much I'm gonna love her writing now that I have read more Gothic texts and studied more Gothic texts than I had in 2019. That was the summer before I started uni, which is crazy to think about, but I want to just see how much I'm going to love her writing in comparison to how I did then, and exactly how I'm going to feel about it. Also just to see what this story is about, because I have heard the most incredible things, and from what I have heard, I do feel like I'm gonna love it. But yeah, this is one that I'm definitely gonna read as soon as possible. Next is another modern classic, not necessarily autumnal-esque, but it is Perfume by Patrick Susskind. I'm terrified to read. I think more so than anything else on my TBR, nothing intimidates me more than this book, and I think part of that is because it is meant to be one of the most grotesque and disturbing pieces of literature ever written, and although I do love reading stuff like that and I love analysing it, it does intimidate me. And also partly because I have built up in my head that I'm going to really like this book and I'm going to find it so fascinating, so that if I don't, I'm gonna be like disappointed or whatever. But this book, I'm just gonna read you the blurb because I don't think I can put into words what it is about better than obviously the blurb can, because I haven't read it. I don't know too much about it other than the blurb, and I think it kind of says all you need to know. Jean-Baptiste Grenouille is abandoned on the filthy streets of 18th century Paris as a baby, but grows up to discover he has an extraordinary gift, a sense of smell more powerful than any other human. Gradually he learns how to exploit this gift in the art of creating the most sublime perfumes in France. Yet there is one odour he cannot capture, the scent of an innocent young virgin. In order to perfect his experiments, he must have this final ingredient, at any cost. A cult international bestseller, perfume is a bewitching, darkly humorous fable of desire, obsession, and death. So I'm terrified, but very excited for the day that I do actually read this. Whether I will actually get to this in autumn, I have no idea. 100% guaranteed that I will read all of these, but this one is more, I don't really know when I'm gonna get to it. But with that being said, again, I am excited to just see what it is about and see why so many people say it is the most grotesque. And obviously it really does sound like it from the blurb, but I also do want to see what the writing style is like and what the storytelling is like, and I'm really intrigued to do so. But again, petrified. Okay, so completely parting from any type of modern classic or classic, we now have In My Dreams I Hold a Knife by Ashley Winstead. This is another one that I've wanted to buy all year but knew I wanted to read it for autumn, so I'm really happy that I now do have it. And again, another one that I don't really know too much about. For some reason, especially in autumn and especially like thrillers, spooky reads, I like knowing as little as possible before delving myself into them, because I feel like it's then more terrifying, more spooky, and like horror-esque. But the reason I've been so excited to pick this one up is because it is meant to be an incredible dark academia, which again is something that I have absolutely adored this year and the past years, and has become a new favorite subgenre. And on top of that, I've just heard so many people say that it has become one of their all-time favorite thrillers, and I haven't read a thriller in so long. Who remembers my thriller era? Because I actually miss it so much, and I'm really hoping that with this, and if I do adore it, kind of puts me back in the swing of reading there. On the back it does say 6 friends, 1 college reunion, 1 unsolved murder, so it is giving me that like dark academia, group of misfits, group of like outsiders but intellectuals, and murders happening within that group, and they kind of have to solve it or just like see which one of them did it. I'm really excited. I feel like this definitely does have potential to become not only a new favorite dark academia book but also a new favorite thriller, and that's really exciting. I completely forgot about my cup of tea and now it's 100% cold. And the last book that I want to talk about in this video that is 100% going to be on my autumn TBR and that I'm honestly going to pick up very soon is The Book Eaters by Sunyi Dean. This is a proof copy that I very kindly got from the publisher, so thank you so much. But I have been so excited for this book since I heard about its release, and I feel like I'm going to absolutely adore it. So this comes out in September, and I'm going to read you the blurb. So it says, hidden across England and Scotland live 6 old book-eater families. The last of their lines, they exist on the fringes of society and subsist on a diet of stories and legends. Children are rare and their numbers have dwindled, so when Devon Fairweather's second child is born a dreaded mind-eater, a perversion of her own kind, who consumes not stories but the minds and souls of humans, she flees before he can be turned into a weapon for the family, or worse. Living among humans and finding prey for her son, Devon seeks a cure for his hunger, but time is running out, for her family want her back, and with every soul her son consumes, he loses a little more of himself. It just sounds so good, and I did read the first chapter and was like, I'm gonna become obsessed, but I had to read my current reads, so as soon as I finish those, this is next in line. It just sounds so horror-esque with a mix of fantasy, and I don't read too much fantasy, but when I do, I really do like there being the undercurrent of horror and spooky vibes, and I feel like this is gonna be perfect. I've just been anticipating this book for a really long time, so now that I have a proof, I definitely do want to read it as soon as September comes, or at the least at the very beginning, and just completely devour it. As it says, don't read the book, devour it. So these are all of the books that I really want to read this autumn. Of course there will undoubtedly be more than this, or at least I'm hoping so, but these are the ones that I have been either anticipating all year or some recent releases that I know I just want to read as soon as possible. I genuinely wait and crave this time of year round, every single year, and as soon as September starts rolling around I just get so excited. So I am already commencing my autumn TBR. These are hopefully gonna get read as soon as possible. I also definitely want to film some sort of autumnal spooky reading vlogs or readathons, so that boosts my excitement even more. I will probably vlog a lot of my experiences with these books. But yeah, please let me know if there are any books that you have been waiting all year to read in autumn or as soon as September rolls around. I would love to hear. I feel like, again, these are always such an incredible way to get recommendations of just spooky books that we can all love. If you have also read any of these books that I have mentioned, please feel free to leave your thoughts down below. I would love to hear your opinions. And if you have watched this far into the video and you would like to show that you were here but you don't really know what to comment, please comment any autumn or spooky emoji. As always, all of my social medias are linked in the description box below. I have my TikTok, my Instagram, my Goodreads, and so much more. And thank you so much for watching and for being here. I really do hope you enjoyed, and I will see you again soon with another video.